for numerous years and were competitive nationally as any family in recent times. For many years, Pete has also been responsible for the Cyclone Trace Shorthorn cattle herd and their show string. From its beginning in 2016, Cyclone Trace and the CYT prefixed cattle were also as award-winning as any national show string on the road. Currently, Pete and his wife Cindy, daughters Sarah and Ashley, son-in-law Jess, and granddaughter Rylan operate Purple Ribbon Beef that sell direct market freezer beef. They continue to maintain a cow-calf herd and to show livestock with the next generation. If you would like an item to commemorate the Washington County Fair, there are Washington County tumblers that are being sold over at the Mid-Prairie Boosters booth. They are $10, and those will go to support different improvement projects across the fair. We're going to get started with our 2021 Breeding Beef Show. The first class we have coming into the ring is going to be our Class 1 of cow-calves. There are 3 exhibits in this class.
Good afternoon. What a nice afternoon to have your breeding beef show here. Thanks for having me. I was here and judged the jackpot show a couple years ago, and the quality and kids were really good. And we're starting off the day with a really nice class. We're just in April, 2-year-olds. We're going to go ahead and start with this pair that match up so well for me. Sure, she's a little bit on the green side, but you can see where every ounce of what she's been doing is in this April heifer calf. A pair that just matches logically for me. If I'm going home, that's the pair I take. They just fit together. She's put everything she can. If we can get her bred back, she's got a beautiful udder underneath of her. Really a high quality heifer calf. Nice way to start the class. As we go with our blue roan pair in second, a nice cow here, a cow that has got maybe a little more condition on her. We don't know the conditions they've had at home, but there just isn't near as much horsepower in that calf. It's a May calf. Just doesn't match up and balance up quite as nice for me. Just a logical way to go in second here, though, because you got a nice cow, pretty good flesh. And then we end the class with another pair that's just a nickel greener on there, a nickel greener. But you can see she's doing a nice job with that calf, kind of a younger calf, so she probably just hasn't had a chance to get back into shape. Let's give them a nice round of applause. A really nice way to start our breeding beef show.
Excited. Yep. Thank you. The results of our first class of cow calves, we had first with a purple to Braden Clow of the Washington Go-Getters, second with a purple to Adrian Blauvelt of the Lime Creek Limelights, and third with a blue to Caden Reed of the Horse and Pony Club. So in that class from top to bottom is 2-1-3. Coming into the ring next, we're going to have our second class of cow calves. We will have 6 entries in the second class of cow calves.
really nice class of cows here. I think she said that they were almost all Marches. We've got a pair again that matches extremely well for me. We've got a cow that is just in nice rig. She's doing a good job with this bull calf beside. He's got some stout to him. He's really straight and level over that top. Got a little bit of shape to him. Really just a logical pair that comes together very nicely for me. Then I went ahead and went with the mini pair. There's another pair that matches up really well, and she's doing a good job. Maybe like to tighten her udder up just a little bit, but she's really doing an excellent job with that calf beside of them. Really, really a nice pair to fall into second for me. Again, these pairs just match well together. Then we come with a pair that I moved up. As you stand back and look at this heifer calf beside of that cow, calf's got some shape to her. She's got some center dimension, just a really, really nice heifer calf. You can just see that cow is putting everything she's got into that calf. We'd maybe like to flesh her up just a little bit, but really you can just tell that she's doing an excellent job. Just like to maybe, again, match just a little better, but that's a nice pair, excellent heifer calf. Then we come with a cow that's extremely long-bodied. There's a cow has really transmitted that to her heifer calf. They match really well. I'd maybe like to just give them just a little more shape to them, a little more base width than that, but a good pair. Awfully nice pair, awfully nice 2-year-old pair. Then we come with a cow that's maybe a little bit greener like we had in some of the others. And the calf, though, has really, really got some nice parts and pieces. She's just not as far along today, and neither is the cow. But as we stand back and analyze them, I think as that cow matures and that calf gets a little more age, you're gonna really appreciate what she's done with that. Then we ended the class with a really high quality pair. Cow with lots of length of body. She just wants to get a little straight, and the calf then in turn wants to get just a little straight. The way they handle those hind legs for me, just a little tight, but a nice group of cows and calves. Let's give them a nice round of applause on our second class of breeding beef.
Currently coming into the ring, we'll have our third and final class of cow-calves. There will be 2 exhibits in the ring for this third class. Our results for class 2, we had first in a purple to Izzy Peterson of the Washington Go-Getters, second with a purple to Elijah Statler of the Lime Creek Live Wires, third with a blue to Ethan Hotchkiss of the Green Acres, fourth with a blue to Cecil Kelly of the Lime Creek Live Wires, fifth with a blue to Aubrey Campbell of the 76 Progressives, sixth with a blue to Mariah Christensen of the 76 Progressives. The order from top to bottom in that class was 3, 2, 6, 5, 1, 4. Following this class that we currently have in the ring, our third class of cow-calves, we will be selecting a champion and reserve champion cow-calf. Today's show is being live streamed by KCTC. If you have a program, there is a link that you can direct people to, and another link. All other 2021 livestock shows can be viewed on YouTube through Kelowna Telephone Company. The wood chips in the beef stalls were donated by Hammis Brothers Sawmill of Ollie. Shavings in the show ring are donated by Joe Hostetler of 4H Wood Products.
In our aged cow class, boy, we've really got a high quality pair here that puts it together so well. This young lady's really spent some time and effort. These cows, to get them in that kind of shape and get them that to look like that, and she's done an excellent job. Really just a nice high quality pair. There's just that shape of rib with that cow. She's just got that durable look, like she can go out and do it even when she gets back into her working clothes, and a really, really stout, high volume, high capacity, just a really good bull calf behind. Just an excellent pair, just a great combination right there. Wins the class easily. We've got a cow here in her working clothes with just a June calf beside of her, but doing a nice job. I mean, here's a cow that we see what we get, and just a little bit later calf, but if we give them time and let that calf mature, she's doing an excellent job, gonna make an excellent pair for this young lady. Let's give them a nice round of applause and a really high quality cow to start the class.
The results of our third class of cow calves, we had first being exhibited by Peyton Ford of the Lime Creek Live Wires. She received a purple. And second with a blue to Adriana Campbell of the 76 Progressives. We're now going to be having our championship drive for the Champion Reserve Champion Cow Calf. Our first place from our first class is exhibited by Braden Clow of the Washington Go-Getters. Our first place from the second class is exhibited by Izzy Peterson of the Washington Go-Getters. And our first place from the third class we have being exhibited by Peyton Ford of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Our second places from each of the classes, from Class 1, is being exhibited by Adrian Blavelt of the Lime Creek Limelights. From Class 2, Elijah Statler of the Lime Creek Live Wires. And from Class 3, Adriana Campbell of the 76 Progressives. We have received some additional programs, so following this class, we'll be getting those around. So be patient. We do have some additional programs, so we'll be getting those out to you as soon as we can.
Let's give our cow-calf exhibitors a nice round of applause. If any of you out there have shown these before, you know how much time and effort it takes to get these broke and get them in shape and that. And so my hat's off to these exhibitors for being able to do that and get them presented to us. We'll talk a little bit about our class winners. Out of that first class, we had an April 2-year-old there that's just milking her heart out. Got a really, really nice udder on her, got a nice heifer calf that matches up together just a really nice match set there. A little bit green in their kind, but she's doing the best she can. She's really doing a nice job. We come to our Marches and older in the 2-year-olds, and we've got a cow that I think really, as she matures, we're going to really like how she keeps on in her curve and growing. I think she has a long longevity to her. She's sound. She's got all the parts and pieces we need, and she's got a huge bull calf behind her, a big strapping calf for her. Really doing an excellent job. You know, he's got that extra length of body. He's really going to make a nice prospect. Fit together very well also. Nice pair. Then we get to our aged cow, and she just puts it together so nicely. I mean, there's a cow that's got that, you know, combination of everything. She's got some style, balance, and eye appeal, but she looks durable, like she can still go out and carry herself through the winter and just do an excellent job, hold her weight, you know, just get around and travel well for me. Just a nice cow for me. And then she's got that bull calf behind her that really just has so much performance and pounds and still in a nice attractive package and just suits so well for me. They just put it together. That's a high quality pair. They'll be your champion. The March pair will be reserved. Let's give them a nice round of applause. Really an excellent set of cows.
Our champion cow-calf today is exhibited by Peyton Ford. Her trophy is sponsored by Lenz Show Cattle, Brian and Ben Lenz. The reserve champion was exhibited by Izzy Peterson, and her rosette was sponsored by Schneider Family Farms. The next class we'll have coming into the ring will be our returning bucket bottle heifer class. Currently in the ring, we have our returning bucket bottle heifer. So these were previously bucket bottle projects that now have returned to the fair to be further projects.
nice set of returning bucket bottle calves. I mean, we need to keep in mind that where these came from. They were a bottle project a year ago, and this young lady that's starting this class has really got a high quality individual in here. She's really moderate. She's very attractive. She's straight and true over that top. You know, a heifer that balances up nicely underneath. Really, really a high quality individual in this class and wins it very easily. Then we start out in next with this Baldy Heifer that comes, and you know, if we've got a pen full of these to turn out and breed, I mean, we're in pretty good shape because there's so many things about this female that I appreciate from what we do. You know, she's got some rib shape. She's got some easy doability about her. She's sound in her structure. Just a really another high quality individual that I think logically lands second for me. Just really a nice pair of heifers as we consider these are returning bucket calves. Then we went with the yellow Baldy that follows a lot, just like that black Baldy. You know, a heifer that maybe just doesn't carry down in that flank quite as much and carry and balance up as nicely underneath, but really an exceptionally long-bodied female. The young man's done a nice job with her. Just a really, really logical third place for me. Then we get into a pair of females, and I'm not going to argue with you either way. I went ahead and went with one that is a little stouter made. There's just a little more to her. She's just got more oomph for me. I will grant you that she wants to get steep in that front end and just a little more shoulder than I'd like, but there's just so much more heifer there, and I think as we go into like winter time or, you know, as we go, I just think there's more natural flushing ability, just a little more natural width to her. But then you come to this young man's female, and she's really nice in her design. She comes out of that top of that shoulder with a, you know, a long lean neck. She just is so feminine made in that. Maybe just, you know, didn't have as good a time as, you know, a younger calf and doesn't have quite the flesh as some of those above her. But, you know, a nice pair, you make your choice on that. I went ahead and went one that's a little bit stouter. Then we come to the mini Hereford. Here's a really nice heifer for this young man. She's just got plenty on her for me. I mean, that heifer's got plenty of condition on her. Maybe wants to get just a little rigid from behind. But, you know, she's going to be easy doing. Deep-sided female that's really done well for the young man. Will make a nice project. Then we end the class with two nice heifers in their own kind. Very long-bodied females. Heifers that, you know, are going to go out and make good cows. They maybe just don't balance up as nicely underneath. Maybe just give them just a little more base width to them, a little more shape to them. I preferred this young lady's heifer because she maybe is just a little bit longer bodied and maybe is a little nicer through her front end. Then we end the class with a real productive heifer like we talked about. She has that extra length of body. Let's give them a nice round of applause on their returning bucket calves.
Our champion returning bucket bottle heifer was exhibited by Bryn Northrup. Her trophy was sponsored by Black Diamond Boar Goats. The reserve champion was exhibited by Claire Stalder, and the rosette was sponsored by Schneider Family Farms. Those both received purples. Third place in the class with a blue went to Ethan Hotchkiss of the Green Acres. Fourth with a blue to Sarah Burdo of the Franklin Cubs. Fifth with a blue to Braden Clow of the Washington Go-Getters. Sixth with a blue to Elijah Statler of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Seventh with a blue to Allie Wetstein of the Lime Creek Limelights. Eighth with a blue to Tess Burdo of the Franklin Cubs. Currently in the ring, we have our produce heifer. So these are offspring of former heifer projects who have been exhibited at the Washington County Fair before or have been projects of these 4-H'ers.
nice class of produce heifers here. This heifer that wins this class for me wins it rather easily. Just puts so many nice things together in one package. You know, that neck comes right out of the top of that shoulder. She balances up so nicely top and bottom. Looks like a female, but still has some shape and dimension as you stand behind her. Just a really nice high quality individual that wins it rather easily for me. Then we go to the heifer in second. It's just a powerhouse. I mean, you know, we all need to make some choices in that. I think with that extra dimension and width to her, then we end up and we see some issues like through that front end. She wants to get a little bolder through that shoulder and tucked in behind those, you know, that shoulder. But as we view her, I mean, if you're going to raise some steers or some bulls, I mean, there's a female that just has a lot of dimension, a lot of shape. You know, she's going to do some things that could be really good if she has enough longevity to her. With the way she's made, you know, there's one that's going to be very productive. She just isn't as much my kind as that female that goes out. That one's really nice. It wins the class. Then we come out with the heifer in third that has that really feminine neck about her, has that really heifer look about her. Just isn't as far along today. She's more mature, is more immature than the two above her. But I mean, if you really look at that female, there's a lot of good about her. She doesn't have near as much condition on her. Comes to us, you know, in a really green package. You know, she comes out of that hip nice. She just needs to come down in that flank just a little bit for me. And maybe just be a little farther along, but another nice female, really a nice heifer to land in third. And then we come with two females. This heifer is trying to push this young lady around a lot. But as we get her stopped once in a while, she's really a moderate frame female that has some shape and dimension to her. She's pretty green in her kind, but a female that just isn't showing her best today. But I think if we take her halter off her, we really appreciate her quite a bit more because it's a nice female. And we end with one that's a lot like her. She just maybe doesn't come down in that flank as much as the other one and wants to, that tail head set just wants to get just a little bit high on her. But another nice female, lots of length of body, just gonna make an excellent cow prospect. Let's give them a nice round of applause on those produce females.
Our produce of former heifer projects, we had our champion being exhibited by Peyton Ford. Our trophy is sponsored by Chris and Julie Janicek. There's also a $20 cash award by Lenz Show Cattle, Brian and Ben Lenz. The reserve was exhibited by Jade Sheets, and the rosette for that is sponsored by Schneider Family Farms. The results of the rest of the class, we had third with a blue to Iris Peterson of the Washington Go-Getters, fourth with a blue to Adriana Campbell of the 76 Progressives, fifth with a blue to Aubrey Campbell of the 76 Progressives. So top to bottom in that class, we had 4, 2, 1, 5, 3. Currently coming into the ring, we have 4 exhibits in our first class of Angus.
In our first class of Angus Heifers, we've got one that they've really dialed in when they got her ready, a heifer that really is got some volume and capacity to her. I'm really concerned about the way she's snapping those back pasterns when she gets around the ring, but I think there's just too much quality in this individual to not use her in this class, so we'll go ahead and use her today. High quality individual on the stand, just wants to snap those pasterns as we go. And second, we've got a heifer that's really got some length of body and a nice look about her. She just gives up too much horsepower to those heifers above her, or the heifer above her to get by her. But we really see she's in a green condition. She's really nicely designed, just a little bit immature today. Then we come to a pair of heifers that it gets closer for me. I went ahead and used the young lady's heifer, a heifer that is probably in a little more of the correct condition for me, a heifer that has that shape to her rib. I mean, a heifer that's got some depth and capacity to her. She just isn't quite as nicely designed through that front end. It just doesn't put it together in the total package quite as nicely as the two above her. And we end the class with a really broody female for this young man. She's just got so much depth of rib, lots of belly to her. She just isn't quite as eye appealing those above her, but a nice class of females. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
The results of our second class of Angus Heifers, we had first with a purple being exhibited by Mason Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers, second with a purple to Brock Thoman of the Highlanders, third with a blue to Grace Coble of the Crooked Creek Club, fourth with a blue to Blake Sheets of the Washington Go-Getters. Currently coming into the ring is our second class of Angus. There will be 3 classes of Angus Heifers, then we'll select a champion and reserve champion Angus. We do have one of our senior 4-H members currently in the ring. We have Roy Carter of the Jackson Jets.
our second class of Angus Heifers has two really nice females up on top, but I think as we stand back and analyze them, this young lady's heifer comes to top rather handily as we really look back. We just look at her as we view her over her top. She's really straight and true. When this young lady gets her going and gets her head up, she really collects herself nicely, gets out and takes a long, nice stride. You know, really balances up underneath also too. You know, she pulls down on that flank. I think very logical way to start the class for me. You really stand back and you view this young man's heifer in second, and there's so much belly to her and just so much cow look. I mean, I really appreciate all that about her. But with that, then maybe she doesn't want to collect herself quite as well up through that shoulder and behind that shoulder. But, you know, we get so much belly with her and so much good about her. She's sound on those feet and legs. Nice pair to start that class. We follow with the next heifer that's really an attractive heifer as you view her from behind and from this side. She just gives up a little bit of the maturity and a little bit of, you know, of the time probably, you know, in the feed. But there, as you really analyze her, she's sound. She's got a nice look about her. I think she logically falls into third for me. Then it gets closer as we get to these two heifers that we're going to end. I think the young lady's heifer is deeper in her flank and more nicely designed through that front end, and that's what moves her into the fourth spot. And we end with a really soggy made heifer that this young man's got. You know, again, she's got that extra body and capacity to her. We'd maybe just like to clean her up just a little bit through that chest floor, but gonna make an excellent cow. Let's give them a nice round of applause with two nice females on the top end of this.
The results of our second class of Angus Heifers, we had first with a purple to Kinley Holmes of the Lime Creek Live Wires, second with a purple to Jacob Eichelberger of Crooked Creek, third with a blue to Roy Carter of the Jackson Jets. Once again, he's one of our senior 4-H members. Fourth with a blue to Leah Kelly of the Lime Creek Live Wires. And fifth with a blue to Cecil Kelly of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Coming into the ring right now, we have our final class of Angus Heifers. Following this class, we will be having a championship drive for overall champion and reserve champion Angus Heifer.
In our last class of February Angus Heifers, we're going to start with the young man's heifer. She's sure the soundest one of the pair. Heifer that, as you stand back and analyze her, she's a little bit leaner in condition, but she just has that cow look about her, a little more feminine, a little more put together with some style and balance. Just a heifer that for me logically comes to the top. The young man's heifer that's coming in second is definitely the stoutest made heifer, has the most product in her. She just isn't as comfortable off those hind wheels as the heifer ahead of her, but you gotta really admire, you know, how much natural dimension and thickness she's got and how, you know, she carries herself, except when we want her to go on to the move. So nice pair of heifers. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
The results of our third and final class of Angus Heifers, we had first with a purple being exhibited by Blake Peck, and second with a purple being exhibited by Nicholas Peck. They are both members of the Lime Creek Live Wires. We will now be having our championship drive to select our champion and reserve champion Angus Heifer. From our first class, we had first place being exhibited by Mason Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers. First place in our second class being exhibited by Kinley Holmes of the Lime Creek Live Wires. And from class 3, we have Blake Peck of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Our second places from the first class, we had being exhibited by Brock Thoman of the Highlanders. From class 2, Jacob Eichelberger of Crooked Creek. And from class 3, Nicholas Peck of the Lime Creek Live Wires.
Let's give our Angus exhibitors a nice round of applause. What a nice group of females, especially when we get them back out here. Our class 1 winner is just, as we see her on the stand, what a beautiful female, I'll tell you. She balances up nicely. They've done an excellent job of dressing her today and getting her ready. When we put her in motion, that's when I get disappointed in her. She's still wanting to snap on those pasterns for me today, but beautiful female on the stand. Young lady's heifer that comes out of the second class, really strong over that top. Probably stronger through her top than the heifer out of the first class and the third class. Balances up so nice underneath, gets around the ring, has some depth all the way from front to back, top to bottom. Just a nice female, puts it together in a really nice combination. The heifer that came out of the third class, a really extremely long-bodied female. We talked about that. A heifer that's maybe in her little plainer clothes today than the two ahead of her. But what you see is kind of what you get. She's sound, just a really nice female. Again, just a really good set of Angus females. I'll go out and show you the two that I like.
Our champion Angus is exhibited by Kinley Holmes. Her trophy was sponsored by Irwin Farms. The reserve champion received a rosette, and that went to Jacob Eichelberger. The rosette is by Schneider Family Farms. Next coming into the ring, we'll have our maintainer class. Coming into the ring now, we have our maintainer class.
Hi guys, I'm Carmen Syrian and I'm the current Washington County Fair Queen. My parents are Jason and Catherine Syrian and I'm part of the Dutch Creek Flyers 4-H Club.
Hello, my name is Anna Knapsiger. My parents are Tim and Jessica Knapsiger, and I am the Washington County Miss Congeniality.
Hello everyone, I'm Lily Clark. I'm the daughter of Kevin and Lisa Clark. I am the Washington County Beef Princess, or Beef Queen.
I really like this Baldy female that's going to lead off this class. When she can just let her go and not get pushed around, this female really can get out in stride nicely. Female that's got so much depth to her, got a cool look about her. I really like a lot of things about this female. Wins this class easily. Then we come down to two nice heifers for second and third. I went ahead and used the young lady's heifer for second, a heifer that as we talk about all day long. She's kind of got a nice feminine neck about her. She's got some length of body, just a greener and more immature in her makeup as we go. Wants to maybe just get a little tight as we move and in that structure, but I think take her halter off her, let her get a little more maturity. She's going to make a nice cow for this young lady. The heifer that we ended the class with, again, is one of those really feminine featured, nice made heifers, but I just like to pull her down in that flank and that, give her just more lower 1/3 of that body. Nice pair, nice class of maintainer females, really a good high quality individual on the top. Give them a nice round of applause.
The results of our maintainer class, our trophy for that class was sponsored by Richard and Angie Sandberg, and the first place in that class was Madison Thoman. Our reserve champion in that class goes to Erica Thoman. The reserve rosette was sponsored by Schneider Family Farms. Third with a blue in that class goes to Peyton Peck of the Lime Creek Live Wires. I also was remiss in that last class. Madison Thoman is one of our senior graduating 4-H members, and she is from the Highlanders. Currently in the ring, we have our class of Solaire heifers.
nice class of Solaris females. I think this young lady's black heifer wins it for me rather handily. A heifer that doesn't have an ounce of extra condition on her, and that's okay. But what you see, you get a really nice package with that. She's really, as you really stand back and analyze her, she balances up nicely top and bottom. She's got that extra length of body, has that cow look about her, has lots of longevity, I think, built into her. Logical place for me to start. The red heifer in second, again, is one of those long-bodied females, but she doesn't quite lay into that tail head as nicely for me. She wants to get just a little bit rounder out of that hip as compared to the black heifer above her. But a heifer that has maybe a little more dimension to her, just isn't pulled down in that flank quite as much as the heifer above her, but a really nice high-quality heifer in second. And the heifer in third is definitely the stoutest made heifer, the heifer that's farthest along, but I think if we peel that condition off of her, I think she's built a lot like those above her, but I think we don't see her handle either one of those hind legs as well as the two above her. She wants you to get just a little more unstable, a little more restricted off of those. Nice class of Solaris heifers. Let's give them a round of applause.
The results of our Solaire heifer class, we had first in the class, our champion, being exhibited by Iris Peterson. Her trophy was sponsored by Kennedy Insurance Agency. The reserve champion, and that rosette is sponsored by Schneider Family Farms, was exhibited by Izzy Peterson. Third place in that class with a blue ribbon was Braden Clow of the Washington Go-Getters. Coming into the ring now, we have our Scimitar class.
Really nice class of Scimitar females again too, just like we've had all day. A heifer that for me, really a nice moderate framed eye appealing heifer to start off this class. A heifer that just is kind of the total combination package in this class. A female that very logically comes to the top. Obviously the biggest, stoutest made female comes in second, not giving the girl a little bit of a handful, but there's a lot of good about that heifer. She's got a lot of natural shape and dimension to her, but with that, we just don't put her in quite as nicely balanced of a package, and she does have plenty of condition on her. I think she logically falls in second to me. And then we end the class with a heifer that's very green in her kind. Again, she's one of those that I think would give her time and maturity. I think some of these heifers that are maybe a nickel green that are going to really develop into nice cows just on a little bit of a different curve or cycle, a nice class of Scimitar heifers. Again, let's give them a nice round of applause.
Area. First call, all other breed heifers to the holding area. The results of our scimitar class, we had our champion scimitar being exhibited by Emma Lyle. Her trophy was sponsored by Shalla Scimitars, Clint and Michelle Shalla, and the reserve by Avery Janicek. Her rosette was sponsored by Schneider Family Farms. Third in that class with a blue went to Anthony Westendorf of the Dutch Creek Flyers. Momentarily, we'll have coming into the ring our Foundation Scimitar class.
Interesting class foundation Scimitars. As we got them out here, we had to have some gives and takes as we went. I guess as I really stood back and analyzed, we start sorting, at home or whatever we're going to do. I guess this heifer just kept coming to the top for me. She doesn't maybe blend quite as nice as what I'd like her to, but there's just so much rib shape, so much capacity to her. A heifer that I think ends up logically coming to the top. Is she perfect on her feet and legs? No, but we've got issues with all of them in here. So I think we logically come to her as we find ourselves really analyzing, looking what the basics are of it. Go ahead and come out. The heifer that comes in second, a heifer I had in first, when she gets her kind of together, this heifer, you appreciate a lot about her, but she can get herself so out of, she She just doesn't collect herself very well, and with that, then she wants to get in behind those shoulders, and a heifer that wants to just not collect herself very well. A nice female, really modern in her kind. I appreciate that about her. You know, there's a lot of base width to her. You know, she's going to be one of those real rugged ones that I think can have some steers, have some bulls. We just need her to be a little more nicely designed through that front end and then behind that shoulder, but really, really a lot of good parts and pieces to that female. And then we end the class with a really, really cool one. I'll tell you, that one from a ways away, you know, it's got that neck that comes out of the top of the shoulder. She's so strong and true over that top, you know, and has that nice look about her. But when I get up on her, there's just not as much of her, especially those two ahead of her. A heifer that just disappoints me a little bit through that lower third of her body with her width and her and overall, but a really cool female. I think as she gets older, she'll be a nice one for this young lady. Interesting class of foundation heifers. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
The results of our Foundation Scimitar class, we had our champion being exhibited by Peyton Ford. Her trophy was sponsored by Howard Bohr of Wellman. Reserve in that class with a rosette sponsored by Schneider Family Farms goes to Elise Foster. Third with a blue goes to Rena Lyle of the Dutch Creek Flyers. We're now going to have coming into the ring our all other breeds heifer class. Anna, come here for a minute.
Young lady's got a really nice female to start out the class. One of those that really's got that extra depth and volume to her, a heifer that you really appreciate so many things about her. She's not quite perfect off those hind legs, but I think she's very acceptable in this class, a heifer that wins it easily. We get a heifer that comes in second that really has that nice look about her. She just gives up so much to the heifer ahead of her, but when you stand back and analyze her on her own, she's really got a nice top in her. Heifer that can get out and travel okay, a heifer that I think logically comes in next for me. The two that come next, the Charolais and the black heifer, there's some gives and takes with both of these. I'd like to clean the heifer that comes out next through her chest floor, but there's just so much more true depth. I think turn and shape to that rib and just more volume and capacity of that heifer. A little more substance of bone. I think she's got to logically come in third for me. The yellow Charolais cross heifer is sure attractive, a heifer that gives you that nice look a ways away. But when we get right up on top of her, I think she just gives up a little bit too much of the overall body and capacity to those ahead of her, but really a cool look about her. Then we get into the two red Angus females. I chose to use the younger heifer, a heifer that to me I think just has a little more flank to her, maybe just a little more true shape to her. She's got the disadvantage of age, but I think as we view her, I think there's just a little more of her. The other red Angus heifer sure has that extra length of body to her, but with that, she comes apart in that top just a little bit as she gets on the move in that. But a nice pair of females. And we end the class with the Aberdeen or low line, a heifer that, in her own right has sure got a tremendous amount of capacity. She just gives up a little bit of the style and balance to those ahead of her. Nice class of females. Let's give them a round of applause.
For our AOB heifers, our first place went to Kinley Homes. The trophy for that was sponsored by Nick and Jana Shala family. The reserve champion was exhibited by Braden Clow of Schneider Family Farms. I'm going to run through the placings. Those exhibitors of the different breeds did receive trophies, so as I have time, I will be announcing the sponsors of those trophies. So third place in the AOB class with a blue was Lauren Lukowski with a Kiania from the Washington Go-Getters. Fourth with a blue to Aubrey Campbell of the 76 Progressives. Fifth with a blue to Caden Evans of the Washington FFA. Sixth with a blue to Blake Evans of the Washington FFA. And seventh with a blue to Elijah Statler of the Lime Creek Live Wires. So from top to bottom in that class, our top to bottom order in that class was 5421736. We are now having our first class of commercial heifers. So I'm going to go through a few of the sponsors of trophies that were handed out during the AOB class. We had our Red Angus trophy that went to Caden Evans, being sponsored by Keith and Penny Sweeting. The Charlet trophy went to Aubrey Campbell, and that was sponsored by Art and Sherry Sweeting family. And the Kiania trophy was sponsored by Lauren Lukowski, and was won by Lauren Lukowski, sponsored by Lyle and Stephanie Sexton.
In the start of our commercial heifer show, we have 3 heifers that all have the same farm tag. So as we sort through these, I mean, they're going to be really close, and it's going to come down to kind of your personal preference. I went with this heifer number 1 to start off with, a heifer that holds that top in her really nice, but still has that extra depth of body, a heifer that I think just for me logically just comes into the overall combination of the class. Young lady's heifer that comes in next, a heifer that has that extra depth of body like our class winner, a heifer that just maybe comes apart ever so slightly in the top there a little bit, but I think a heifer that logically follows that same type and kind we used to start the class with. And the young man's heifer that's kind of feeling a little bit frisky today, he's got her under control now, a heifer that's really straight and level over that top, maybe just gives up a little bit of the overall capacity of the females above her, but 3 nice heifers. And there's, you know, little bits of differences in those 3 to sort them. Let's give them a round of applause on our first class.
The results of our first class of commercial heifers, we had first with a purple going to Vivian Klein of the 76 Progressives, second with a blue to Vivian Klein of the 76 Progressives, and third with a blue to Vivian Klein of the 76 Progressives. The next class we have coming into the ring will be our second class of commercial heifers. Additional trophy winners and their sponsors from the AOB class. We had our Shorthorn Plus being exhibited by Kinley Holmes. Trophy was sponsored by Lyle and Stephanie Sexton. The Small Breeds Champion was exhibited by Elijah Statler, and that trophy is sponsored by Brett and Rhonda West family. Shows like this cannot take place unless we have a great group of volunteers. If we can take just a second and let's give those that you see in the ring, those of us here at the table and those getting the cattle all lined up, let's give them a round of applause for all the work that they're doing today.
Nicest class of the day, said, done, over. Just really high quality females. It's too bad they all had to get in the same class, but this smoke colored heifer that wins this class, wow, I like this one a lot. That one's pretty nice. Caught a little bit for words on that one because I mean, as you see her go around the ring, she just has that presence about her. She's deep, she's soggy, she travels nice, puts it together very well. Nice heifer. The black heifer that comes out in next, the heifer that's big bone, she's cool to look at. There's one that when we get her on the stand has just got a killer profile. She just gives up too much horsepower to the heifer that wins the class, but a really nice female in her own right. And we end the class with this caramel heifer. That is, we had her in some of the other classes, a heifer that's going to win that easily too, a heifer that balances up nicely, it's got some style balance and eye appeal, just gives up maybe a little bit of the overall oomph of the black heifer, like bone-wise, and as you stand behind her, just that shape, but you know, just a really high quality female. Let's give them a nice round of applause on a good set of females.
The results of our second class of commercial heifers, we had first being exhibited by Bryn Young, receiving a purple. She is a member of the Lime Creek Livewires. Second with a purple to Riker Giro of the Riverside Ramblers. Third with a purple to Jade Sheets of the Washington Go-Getters. The next class we'll have coming into the ring will be our third class of commercial heifers. Our judge today is Pete Hunter of Clarion, Iowa. Pete, along with his family, have raised and shown cattle all across the nation for numerous years and were as competitive nationally as any family in recent times. For many years, Pete was also responsible for the Cyclone Trace Shorthorn cattle herd and their show strength. From its beginnings in 2016, Cyclone Trace and the CYT prefixed cattle were also as award-winning as any national show string on the road. Currently, Pete, his wife Cindy, daughters Sarah and Ashley, son-in-law Jess, and granddaughter Rylan operate Purple Ribbon Beef that sells direct market freezer beef. They continue to maintain a cow-calf herd and to show livestock with the next generation. We would like to recognize Peyton Ford of the Lime Creek Livewires, Mariah Crone of the Riverside Ramblers, Bryn Young of the Lime Creek Livewires 4-H Club for all receiving a Beef Project Award at the 2020 Awards Night. They excelled in personal beef projects, learning, workshop, and leadership experiences. We do have a senior 4-H member currently showing out in the ring. We have Thomas Rittenmeyer of the Riverside Ramblers. Let's give him a round of applause.
Nice female to start out the class, a lot like the last class winner we had. This smoke heifer is really just the combination one in the class. She just puts so many nice things together. She's just got that dimension and capacity to her, but an extremely attractive package. Very logical for me to find this heifer and start this class. It gets closer as we go down. When we get this heifer collected in second place, a heifer that can give you a nice look. She's got her neck coming out of the top of her shoulder nice, a heifer that can give a nice look through that top. She can just get herself kind of out of whack there and just kind of get herself so we don't have such a pleasing look about her. And with that, then we kind of get her legs out of control in that. But I think she very logically comes into second for me because she's got the most depth underneath front to back. Come with the Baldy Heifer that's extremely attractive. I mean, again, one of those that's got that cool front. She just gives up through that flank and through that lower base for me to compete with those above her. Young lady's heifer that's doing an excellent job of showing her she's getting everything out of her she can get. This heifer is just a little past her prime and wants to not handle herself correctly for me out of those hind legs, but really does a nice job of showing and pulling that heifer and getting the best she can out of her. Heavy big bone Baldy heifer going out next. Really has total, just a really tremendous amount of substance of bone. Just gives up too much stoutness and too much to that lower third. The young man's heifer that kind of fought him just a little bit, but we're doing good now. We got her shown. He's got a heifer that's got some capacity, some volume to her. Gonna make an excellent cow. If we could just clean her up and redesign that front end a little bit, but he's hung in there and did a good job with that heifer. And we end the class with a really nice blue roan heifer, a heifer that's really modern in her kind in that. But with that a little bit, I think we just give up some of the performance and the power with her, but gonna make an excellent cow. Let's give him a nice round of applause and a good class of heifers.
The results of Class 3 of commercial heifers, we had first with a purple being exhibited by Jade Sheets of the Washington Go-Getters, second with a blue to Peyton Yagi of the Riverside Ramblers, third with a blue to Thomas Rittenmeyer of the Riverside Ramblers, fourth with a blue to Maggie Rinner of the Crooked Creek Club, fifth with a blue to Stella Janicek of the Horse and Pony Club, sixth with a blue to Landon Sweeting of the Riverside Ramblers, seventh with a blue to Tate Stumpf of the Highlanders. From top to bottom in that class was 7, 4, 6, 2, 3, 5, 1. We have our fourth and final class of commercial heifers coming into the ring. We will have a championship drive for our overall champion and reserve champion commercial heifer following this class.
nice last class of commercial heifers. This young lady's got a heifer that's extremely attractive. They've done a really nice job of dressing her today and that and getting everything they can out of her. She is maybe pushing just a nickel past prime for me, but she pulls her together and gets her head up and just really attractive in that. But a heifer that, you know, is deep, soggy, really easy class winner for me. Heifer that comes out in second isn't quite as comfortable on her hind legs, but gives you a truly nice look. Here's a heifer that's real modern in her kind. I appreciate that about her. Has some substance to her. Just a lot of nice things about this heifer too. She just gives up too much oomph and isn't quite as comfortable as she goes for me, but really, really a nice pair to start this class. The Baldy heifer that comes out next to this young man, she's kind of fighting him, but if we had, again, she's one of them kind that if we had a bunch of them, I think we'd really like the kind we have. She's really a feminine-made, long-bodied, deep-sided female that's going to go out and have that extra longevity as a cow. I think she's one that can last a long time, and you appreciate that about her. She's the greenest one of the group in here, and so I think she logically comes in third for me. Nice female. Then we've got two heifers that get kind of terminal for me. I went ahead and used the red female. She just balances up a little nicer for me, but she's pretty quick in her kind, you know, in that, and with that comes along some issues with her structure. But if you're going to raise some steers, I think that's one, or some bulls that can really put off some pounds and production for you. And the gray, the caramel colored heifer that comes next is a lot the same type and kind, just doesn't balance up and isn't as attractive as a female that's in fourth, but a heifer that's got a tremendous amount of shape and should raise some steers or bulls for this young man. Let's give him a nice round of applause on a good class of females.
The results of our fourth and final class of commercial heifers, we had first with a purple being exhibited by Kinley Holmes of the Lime Creek Live Wires, second with a purple to Emma Lyle of the Dutch Creek Flyers, third with a purple to Peyton Yagi of the Riverside Ramblers, fourth with a blue to Sydney Kniebel of the Lime Creek Limelights, and fifth with a blue to Case Wetstein of the Lime Creek Live Wires. We'll now be having our championship drive for our to select our champion and reserve champion commercial heifer. Coming into the ring for this class, we had from class 1, we have Vivian Klein of the 76 Progressives. From class 2, we have Bryn Young of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Third class, we had first being exhibited by Jade Sheets of the Washington Go-Getters. And from class 4, we had our first place being exhibited by Kinley Holmes of the Lime Creek Live Wires. The second places in each of those classes, from class 1, Vivian Klein of the 76 Progressives. From class 2, Riker Giro of the Riverside Ramblers. From class 3, Peyton Yagi of the Riverside Ramblers. And from class 4, Emma Lyle of the Dutch Creek Flyers.
Let's give your commercial heifer exhibitors a nice round of applause. Really high quality set. I think there's a few out here that even as we get to Des Moines and go beyond that, I think there's some females that can compete and do really well in their classes down there and maybe their divisions and on. I'm really pleased with the quality as we went through these classes. I'll talk just a little bit about each one of these class winners again. The heifer out of that fall class, there was 3. It looked like they had the same farm tag. Really a lot close in that type and kind, but they're just real productive females. Deep, soggy, just going to go out and make excellent cows for those young exhibitors. I think this one came to the top because she held herself together a little bit over her top, a little bit nicer, but really just real productive females. The heifer that came out of that May class for me hit me really hard. A heifer that's got some body and shape and dimension, but has that look and factor about her that you just really appreciate so much about her. Young lady holds her together so well, just a female that you really appreciate so many things about. The gray heifer that comes next is kind of a version of all 3 of these here, maybe just not as far along with her hair coat today, but what you see you really like because there is no extra hair on her. She's got some shape and dimension, but yet she looks like a female. She's got that neck coming out of her. Really just a nice female, fits really well with this group. And the powerhouse of the 3 is the blue roan that comes next. With that though, maybe she's just a little bit farther along, you know. For me, she might be just close to being overdone, but you have to appreciate so much about her because she is stout, but still gets around the ring adequately. A female that, has some shape and design, can raise some steers and bulls, but I think as nice as she is to look at, she can also raise some females. Just a really excellent set of heifers. We got to keep in mind that people have different objectives at home, so we need to keep that in mind. I'm going to go show you the 2 that'll work best for me, but excellent group of females. Let's give them one more round of applause because they sure deserve it for the quality we've had today.
Our champion commercial heifer was exhibited today by Bryn Young. The trophy was sponsored by Art and Sherry Sweeting family. The reserve champion was exhibited by Kinley Holmes. Her rosette was sponsored by Schneider Family Farms. We will be bringing our champions through here, and I will make all attempts to announce them correctly as they come through. We're taking just a minute to make sure that all of the calves are lined up properly to come in for that championship drive. So we'll be ready in just a few moments. It takes a little bit to jockey the calves around in the back, and so we'll start just as soon as everybody is all properly lined up. We're going to get started with our Supreme Championship drive. First place from our returning bucket bottle calf heifer, we have Bryn Northrup. With our produce heifer, we have being exhibited by Peyton Ford. From the Angus class, we have Kinley Holmes. From the maintainer, Madison Thoman. From the Solares, Iris Peterson. Scimitals, Emma Lyle. From the Foundation Scimitals, Peyton Ford. And from the AOB class, Kinley Holmes. And from the commercial heifer, we have Bryn Young. Some of the awards that we'll be handing out for the Grand Champion Overall Breeding Heifer. There are top 5 overall ribbons that are sponsored by Colbert Carpet Care. We also have top 5 overall awards that are sponsored by the Washington County Cattlemen's Association. The Grand Champion today will be receiving a trophy that is sponsored by Triple G Livestock, Leon, Noel, and Nathan Greiner. The Grand Champion Breeding Heifer will receive a belt buckle that is sponsored by Walker Livestock Trucking, and a $50 cash award that is sponsored by Joyce Niebel. The Reserve Grand Champion will be receiving their award is sponsored by Colbert Carpet Care. They'll also be receiving a $50 cash award from Boar Farms.
let's give our exhibitors who helped them dress these cattle today and that just a big round of applause because they've really done an outstanding job. You know, when they went to put these cattle together, they've really done a nice job of not getting them all gummed up and glued up and that. I appreciate the way you guys have brought them to me today. I had some last week that they kind of went overboard on some things, and you guys have brought them to me the way I like them today, and so I appreciate that. Again, thanks for the staff and everybody that put this together. You've got them here in a timely manner. The kids have been really, really good to work with. You know, they ran an excellent show. Let's give the people that put this together a nice round of applause because they really did very organized, just a really good job. We're not going to talk about each one of these, but hopefully you can see that we're trying to get cattle with a nice look about them. We're trying to get cattle that fit with what I do. We need to keep that in mind that everybody's situation is a little different, you know. What I do isn't necessarily what somebody else is going to do, but I'm trying to get the cattle that will work for me the best. They put it together in an eye-appealing, sound as I can get package that, you know, can be functional, have some longevity to them and that. You know, people have different goals with their deals, so what we do today really shouldn't impact what you guys are going to do at home. You guys need to stay the course, realize what you have for facilities, for labor, for feedstuffs, your goals. So keep all that in mind. I'm going out here today and pick cattle that I like, and there's a few out here that really, really hit me hard. When I got them back out here especially, they're my kind. They're moderate, they're soggy, but they cool look about them. Just an excellent, excellent set of females. With that, I'll go out and pick you a grand and reserve, and then I think we need a top 5, so we'll go ahead and get 5, but there's 2 out here that are special to me. Once again, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun with great cattle and great kids and a great staff.
Thank you. Bryn Young has the grand champion overall breeding heifer. Let's give her one more round of applause for that. Coming into the ring from the commercial crossbred class is Kinley Holmes. Our reserve grand champion is exhibited today by Madison Thoman. That was out of the maintainer class. Let's give her a round of applause. The reserve in that class coming back in is Erica Thoman. Third place is being exhibited today by Kinley Holmes, and that was from the Angus class. Fourth place goes to Kinley Holmes, and that's from the All Other Breeds class. Fifth place is also exhibited today by Kinley Holmes, and that is out of the commercial class. Let's give these exhibitors one more great round of applause. The final part of our breeding beef show today is going to be showmanship. We are going to be starting with senior showmanship and working our way down to junior showmanship. We're going to start our showmanship classes today with senior showmanship.
Let's give our senior showmanship exhibitors a nice round of applause. Thank you. They've really done a nice job out here. You know, with showmanship with me, it started at 4 o'clock when we started the show, because that tells me a lot about, you know, what you as young people can do with your animal, how you present that animal in the show, and then come back out of here again. And then we sort out the differences between some of these young people. All of you have been very attentive, really did a nice job, got the basics down, but there's two out here that have done an excellent job. One young lady had a heifer that I like quite a bit and has just flowed with that heifer, presented the heifer to its best ability, just done a really nice job all the way through. Heifer's getting a little bit tired, but still in there and doing what she needs to do. The other young lady had a heifer that I didn't like so well, but you know what? She went out of here, she came back in for showmanship. She's doing a good job. Her heifer's getting tired, but again, she's sticking with it. You know, she's doing the best she can with that heifer, and I appreciate that, because sometimes it's really easy, you know, to just say, okay, we'll just kind of cruise control. Both of these young people also have that, what you call it factor. I mean, it's just something that you can't teach. I hope the young people out there are watching, because there's just something about that you go out there, you have that confidence of showing that animal correctly, not about, you know, showing yourself off, but getting that animal to walk in where it needs to be. I realize how much time and effort it takes to dress these cattle, get the hair on them and that, but then again, to get them broke to show, to walk into it, to be able to know where that animal needs to be for the best of its ability. I'll go out and show you these two people, but let's give them a nice round of applause, because they've done an excellent job. Hope the young people were watching. They really did a good job.
The results for our showmanship class, we had first place going to Madison Thoman and reserve going to Maggie Renner. Let's give them a round of applause. The plaque for showmanship was sponsored by Horning Repair. We'll next have the intermediate division of showmanship coming into the ring. Currently in the ring, we have our intermediate showmanship division. These are students who have just finished 7th, 8th, or 9th grade.
Let's give a really, really good round of applause for these intermediates. Wow. This is an outstanding class of showmanship. I mean, we've got some young people out here that are just doing an excellent job. Their heifers are getting a little bit tired, but they're still out here and they're trying to do the best they can to get that animal where it needs to be. And I appreciate that because we're getting the end of the day. These heifers know that it's time to be done. You know, it's kind of a bad time for showmanship to have to be at this time of day. I get that. But you guys are out here, you're still doing the basics. You know, you've still got eye contact with me. You're engaged. You're doing an excellent, excellent job. I'll tell you, this is really, really an impressive set of young people out here. I mean, they're just doing the basics so right. And then we get down to these two young ladies on this end, and I'll tell you what, if you don't get it that they don't have the it factor or the factor, I mean, they just go out there and they show the daylights out of these animals. The one young lady has went and she's brought quite a few in front of me and has presented them very, very well all the way through, just done an excellent job with every one of them. And then the other young lady's brought one out here that she's obviously worked with and really has that animal trade, walks into it every time, has that it factor. I just can't say enough good. I sure hope that the young people out there, even some out of the senior division, are watching all of these people, but especially these two young ladies. They just do a phenomenal job. Again, let's give them a big round of applause, and I'll go out and show you the two that I like best.
Our top intermediate showman today is Bran Young. Our reserve is Peyton Ford. Let's give all these exhibitors out in the ring. That's a huge number of people this late in the day. So the plaque for the intermediate showman was sponsored by Schneider Family Farms, and the next class that we'll be having coming into the ring will be our junior showmanship class, will be our final class of the day.
you can tell we've got to the end of the day. Some of these heifers are getting really tired, and so I'm not going to take a long time to talk about it, but you know, we go through here, and hopefully you young people have had some fun today. There's some people out here still with a smile on their face, even though some of these heifers are pushing them around a little bit, but I mean, they're getting tired and we've had a long day. So just keep in there, keep trying, keep that head up, keep working on trying to walk them into it. Just keep working on the basics as we go through with these cattle, and just watch those people that did well in those other classes. Watch those people throughout the show. If mom and dad can let you come up and watch, just that's the biggest thing and easiest way to learn. I can sit out there and trying to give you some tips in that, but at the end of the day here, we're going to end up, and people just, it's hard to remember all that. So just when you get the chance at these shows, come up and watch some of them other young exhibitors and just pick up on tips that they're doing. Just pick up on what, you know, I can do better with my animal. Watch it as we go to get their animal set the best. These two young ladies up here again have done an excellent, excellent job. You know, there's one in particular that really, really just puts it on them. I mean, she's always got them where they need to be, just has it, that it factor. Again, the other young lady, you can see, maybe hasn't quite shown as much, but she's getting the basics down, doing a good job. Got her heifer in the right spots and that. Let's give them a huge round of applause for these people coming out. Got a nice class of juniors. I'll show you the two that I really like out of this class.
Our champion junior showmanship today is Kinley Holmes, and our reserve is Elise Foster. Let's give all of these juniors a round of applause. This concludes our 2021 Breeding Beef Show.